Hello everyone, welcome to Lotus Heart Tarot. I'm so happy to have you here. We are going to dive right into your reading today. See what we have. I'm sorry if I sniffle or sneeze or cough during your reading. My husband has had a head cold and I got it. And it's all his fault. I know, I'm just kidding. But man, I'm such a baby. I hate not being able to breathe. All right, here we go, guys. For Pisces. For Pisces. Okay. Okay. Whoa. Pisces. Okay. Okay. Oh my gosh. Oh. Oh. This is so nice. Okay. Woof. And you know, you have a 28 and going into a 29. Those could be significant numbers. Some of you might have been born on February 28th or 29th. Maybe you were born on a leap year. But okay, first of all, these came out of two different areas in the deck. And so it's really unlikely that you would get cards in succession. And so for me, that is always too big of a coincidence to be a coincidence. Is that a statement that I can actually make? I'm not sure, but blame it on the head cold. What it's saying to me is that someone is progressing. Something is progressing. Something may have been stagnant, may have even felt like it was going backwards, and now it's getting movement forward. You know, oh my God, I am hearing a song, The Heart of the Matter, and the will gets weak. Something seems to matter. Forgiveness. Is this Michael Bolton? Does anyone know what I'm talking about? Or like trying not to sing, but hearing in my head and hoping that my little Pisces jukebox are getting it? I think it might be Michael Bolton. Like, I am totally seeing a CD cover with Michael Bolton on it. Oh my gosh. I'm dating myself. Okay. It's kind of bad photography. Well, I don't want to say that, but it's like sepia toned. I feel like, I don't know. Okay. Anyway, what we're talking about here, I feel some kind of crazy, really ungrounded energy here. This can be someone who is kind of normally very grounded, very logical, very analytical, very predictable, very, you know, and all of a sudden it feels as though like I'm taking a risk, I'm taking a chance, I'm throwing caution to the wind. For some of you, this is like a major conversation, okay? Like, this is like, let me tell you how I really feel. Let me tell you what I'm really thinking. Let me really lay it out there for you. For others of you, this is kind of a more flirty energy where it's like, you know, you may have a secret admirer or someone who you know, has been attracted to you or has wanted to kind of see if there was potential here for some time. And you know, when people make comments that could have like double meanings, or I want to say for some of you, it may just be like blatant, bold flirting. Like someone really changes up their approach verbally, like what they say is you're like, wait, what? Like, because I get this feeling of surprise of, wait, is this really happening? Or like even sort of second guess, am I reading too much into this? Like, is this right? You know, or maybe it's just the mood this person is in right now. Like, it's almost like I'm, I don't want to say like excusing it away or something, but it takes a little convincing for me to really get that this is real. All right, so take what resonates here, all right? I do feel like for some of you, there is kind of a serious conversation here where I honestly feel like someone their heart chakra has been moved by you, okay? And it's been moved by the kindness and the tenderness. When the will gets weak and the truth seems to matter or something, I have to look this up because it won't stop. When the will gets weak. Okay, Don Henley and the heart of the matter. Okay, I don't know what's up with Michael Bolton. Why we were talking about Michael Bolton. But I need to see these lyrics. Don Henley. Forgiveness. Okay. Guys, we're just gonna have a moment here. I'm so sorry about it. Oh, I need glasses. Okay. I got the call today I didn't want to hear, but I knew that it would come. An old true friend of ours was talking on the phone. She said, you found someone. And I thought of all the bad luck and the struggles we went through and how I lost me and you lost you. What are these voices outside love's open door? Make us throw off our contentment and beg for something more. I'm learning to live without you now, but I miss you sometimes. The more I know, the less I understand. All the things I thought I knew, I'm learning again. I've been trying to get down to the heart of the matter, but my will gets weak and my thought seems to scatter. But I think it's about forgiveness. Even if you don't love me anymore. These times are so uncertain. There's a yearning undefined and people filled with rage. We all need a little tenderness. Oh my God, you have tenderness. Like, what? Okay, hold on. Lord have mercy on my soul. How can love survive in such a graceless age? The trust and self-assurance that lead to happiness, they're the very things we kill, I guess. Pride and competition cannot fill these empty arms, and the work I put between us, you know it doesn't keep me warm. I'm learning to live without you now, but I miss you, baby. And the more I know, the less I understand. All the things I thought I'd figured out, I have to learn again. Damn, this is a really good song. Who knew? I gotta put this on a playlist. I've been trying to get down to the heart of the matter, but everything changes and my friends seem to scatter. But I think it's about forgiveness. Even if you don't love me anymore. There are people in your life who've come and gone. They let you down. You know they hurt your pride. You better put it all behind you, baby. Life goes on. You keep carrying that anger. It'll eat you up inside. I've been trying to get down to the heart of the matter, but my will gets weak and my thoughts seem to scatter. But I think it's about forgiveness. Even if you don't love me anymore. Okay, I honestly feel like someone is like, Wow. I'm going to leave that song as its own separate message, and I'm just going to say, take what resonates, leave the rest, right? But there were a few things, that work I put between us doesn't fill these empty arms. So someone may have prioritized work. Someone may have, they may think that you're with someone else, or you may actually kind of be with someone else, or maybe you've told a mutual friend that, you're making a dating profile, or you're gonna put yourself out there, or you've seen if a mutual friend wants to kind of go out with you to, see what's out there to be found. I honestly think, when I saw the kindness and the tenderness and their this green turquoise energy, this is the heart chakra and the throat chakra. And it's giving me I feel so much, and maybe I have not said it, And maybe I didn't say it when you needed me to say it. And maybe I told myself I was going to be fine and I was going to go on and I was going to focus on work and focus on these other things that I needed to control. But, you know, when you find someone who offers you true tenderness and true kindness, and wow, this came out in my meditation this morning, my goodness. Wow, like, when people offer you unconditionality and non-judgment, that is extremely rare to really, truly, genuinely find that in another person. And when you let that go, or you don't fight for that, or you don't appreciate that, it is always going to come back to bite you. Because people like that are very, 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 very rare. And Pisces are kind of known to be those type of people. And I feel like, you know, when I was reading that song, those song lyrics and the word forgiveness, I mean, that's the name of the song, is Forgiveness. By Don Henley, in case you want to read those lyrics again. But I kept getting like, I'm trying to forgive myself. Because he says, like, I'm trying to learn to live without you now. I'm trying, and you know, I honestly feel like it's such a heavy feeling laced with so much regret, so many would-haves, so many could-haves, so many should-haves. But it's almost like this is sort of what I have left to deal with. Like, I can't go back and change it. I can't do what I wish I would have done, or I haven't been brave enough, or I haven't found it within myself. Someone is about to tell you something, Pisces, that they have been too afraid to tell you. For some of you, it could be a secret admirer. For some of you, it could really surprise you. For others of you, I do think this is a past person who, you know, we can only really live with heaviness like that so much, you know, so long. And all we can really do is forgive ourselves for the things that we wish we would have done that we didn't do, or the things that we did that we wish we wouldn't have done. Let's keep going. I feel like this is a happy moment coming. You know, even if you don't get the answer you want, sometimes just knowing that you did it, and that you wanted to do it, and you could do it, and you did it, can sometimes be enough. Someone's giving you something, and I think it's words. I really do. Oh my God, look at this joy and excitement. Somebody did not tell you. Whoa. Somebody did. Whoa. This is the vibe, man. Someone, I feel like, Pisces, someone's coming at you kind of seriously. Wow. Wow, wow, and wow. You know, this person, I think they even knew that you were the one at the time, but I think they were wearing a mask. I think they were trying not to show you that you were the one. Maybe they thought it made them feel vulnerable. Maybe they made them thought it felt weak. Maybe this is someone who was always prioritizing work over the connection or the relationship because they felt they had to. Maybe it's someone whose ego and pride got in the way. That's in that song. But this person, it is like they're holding sunflowers. This is so weird. Did you guys know that there is such a thing as sunflower farms? I was reading a book and they mentioned like stopping by a sunflower farm, a specific location. And I was like, I cannot believe, I thought maybe it was kind of close to my daughter. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I would die to go to a sunflower farm. Like that would be, I would love that. And so I looked to see if it was still there, because this book was written a while ago, and it is. And so then I looked to see how far it was away from my daughter, and it's actually like very far away, kind of. It would be like an overnight trip. And so I was like, oh man. But so then I started Googling like sunflower farms, and it turns out that there are quite a few sunflower farms. And just like I didn't go to all their websites, obviously, but I went to some of them. And this is just this morning. And I was like texting back and forth with my daughter about going to a sunflower farm and like looking at all these pictures. And then here this deception energy shows up with the sunflowers. Of course, I always associate the sunflower with the Queen of Wands, but you know, I even very recently talked about the sunflower on this channel and how it's like the most incredible flower. It turns to face the sun. It literally, like if you watch it, it's almost like a sundial. It as the sun moves across the sky, the head of the sunflower, the blossom, turns with the sun. I've told this story on this channel too, and I whatever, but I'm sorry if you find my stories boring, but my grandma, I had like the best grandma in the entire world. She was like the quintessential grandma. She was like, get in here and sit down and have a Coca-Cola with me and tell me everything. She was outrageous. She was amazing. Probably a lot the reason I am me. But she had this family of swallows that came every year and nested in her gutters, and it blocked up her gutters. And she had 5 boys, and this is my dad's mom. And they were always like, Mom, you have to get the swallows out of your gutter. Like, that's not good. And she would be like, oh no, they've been building their nest there for years. Like, I'm not moving them, da da da. I love having them. They have babies and I like watching the babies. And she had this like sliding glass door, and it was right outside, so you could sit at the kitchen table and watch the swallows. Well, we think they like planted a sunflower seed. She had like a patio out the sliding glass door, and it had those like cracks in between it. They planted a sunflower seed in between the cement blocks, okay, that were like, you know, it was like, it wasn't like pavers. It was, you know, like big concrete blocks. They planted it like here, okay? And so the sunflower started growing, and we were all like, Grandma, you know, we need to pull the sunflower out. And she was like, oh gosh, no, that is a gift. That thing is going to be beautiful. This sunflower, I'm not even kidding you, grew to be like 6 feet between the concrete blocks. And she was like, that was a gift from those swallows that I haven't kicked them out of my gutters. I am not cutting that thing down. So anyway, she let that thing grow, and it really was beautiful. But like, also, just having that single sunflower there made you appreciate the beauty of a sunflower so much. And it was right out the sliding glass door. So if you were, she would always sit down at the kitchen table and talk to my grandma for hours. And so when we would sit at that kitchen table and look at it, you can literally see the, you know, mandala-like nature of the placement of the seeds in the center there, and just the perfection of the sunflower. And the hilarity that it was growing out between these 2 concrete blocks, it was the funniest thing. But I loved it. And I have really tried to always kind of embrace that energy, because my grandma was super happy, and she lived completely at one with nature. She grew up on the farm. Like, my great grandfather homesteaded a farm, like rode out and put a white flag on our family farm that we had until just a few years ago. And My grandma grew up there, and her favorite thing to do was just get lost in her farm stories about not having a refrigerator, not having air conditioner, like the stories of storms that passed through, and the baby piglets that were born too small, and her mom had to keep them right next to the potbelly stove in the kitchen, and they would come home and check on them after school, all wrapped up in blankets. And just like, she would tell the best stories, but she lived completely harmoniously with nature, and you could not convince her to, to change her ways. And I loved that about her, and I love the way that she could just really appreciate watching it grow. I mean, she watched that sunflower like a hawk every single day. And when it was getting ready to blossom, she would say, do you think it'll be today? Do you think it'll be tomorrow? Like, like it was a big deal for her. Anyway, bloom where you're planted, right? And that's one of those great things. But it's kind of one of those, this feels like it was someone got this unexpected gift, and they weren't ready for it, and they didn't approach it the right way, right? They were wearing this mask. They may have been uncomfortable in their own skin. They may have been self-conscious or insecure or just not ready. That mask is the pride and the ego, right? But it's like, what God, the universe, whatever you want to say, gave them this beautiful gift of happiness, of joy, of something really, truly, remarkably beautiful. And they didn't treat it correctly. They deceived it. And they may have even deceived themselves about it while holding them in their arms. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like, Pisces, you dropped into this person's life out of nowhere. And they may have been extremely rigid and very like, these are the rules. These are, the hard edges of my life. This is my hard no. This is where I'm at, whatever. And it was like you were this rare, beautiful gift that sort of just dropped out of nowhere, that they were completely unprepared for. And they handled it all wrong. This was a potential of something really incredible and beautiful, and probably even meant to increase their abundance. That's the thing about my grandma. She always had the eyes to see that. And this person didn't. This person was, wearing their mask and focused on the hard edges of the concrete and not wanting that sunflower to grow there. It didn't belong there, and so they treated it as such, it feels like, or they were someone who was so deeply ingrained in their mask, they didn't even know how to take it off when something was in front of them that was completely worth it. You feel what I'm saying? So there's just this energy. And the fertility card is really the Empress card, right? And it was the beginning of something fertile. It had the opportunity to be something that could grow and that could bring joy, and it just feels like it could multiply. And so beyond even the things that were said and not said, and the things that could have been, this person is just lost. It's interesting. I just got this quote in my head and I'm going to mess it up, but it's something like, when you love a flower, you don't cut it and take it home. You fertilize it, you watch it grow, you tend to it, you take care of it, you nurture it. And it kind of feels like this person sort of like cut it, like that was their inclination. Anyway, all right, guys, I don't know, this reading is wild, but I'm thinking sunflowers are definitely a sign. I'm just gonna say, that whole the whole sunflower farm thing that happened this morning before I got to this reading. And then what a weird card for deception. Like a man wearing a mask with holding all these sunflowers. It's like they wanted it. They looked at it lustfully instead of looking at it to see what was so incredible about it, to really see it, to peel back the layers and appreciate it for everything that it was, not just, wow, this is pretty, it makes me feel good, I'm gonna cut it. You know what I mean? Kind of vibe. Okay, so this person I feel like messed up, and I feel like they are trying to forgive themselves. I keep hearing that song, it's like playing in the back of my head. Wow. This dreams and the intimacy came out totally interwoven. These cards belong together. They're definitely fantasizing about you, or even potentially having dreams of being intimate with you. So if this is someone you have never been with, they're imagining what it is like. If this is someone you have been with, I feel like they're even coming up with new scenarios or like things that they would like to do. But I do feel there is this energy of being very serious-minded here. You have promise and you have proposal. And so it's kind of like, I feel like this person is showing up in an energy where it's like, I'm ready to give you the thing that I wasn't ready to give you before. And I do really have an intention that this could be forever. So yeah, I do feel like there is a conversation coming in, or there is definitely some flirtation. This is a happy thing. This is bringing excitement. This is like kind of giddy feelings. Even if you've been with this person, there's something about the way this is taking place that makes it feel brand new. But this is someone who's realizing, man, your kindness and your tenderness, that, you know, it's such a rare thing in today's world. It said that in the song in a way. I don't remember how, but it really did. I got this vibe about the world. The world is so unkind or something. I don't know. But it's all about tenderness. Remember that word was even in the song. So yeah, I mean, it's like this person, in hindsight, maybe even really appreciating you more than they did. Like the space is giving them the space to either remember or to watch and see the things that they were not seeing when they were like coveting and lusting. I mean, because that's what I'm getting. Queen of Wands kind of energy. Okay. So take it as it resonates. Guys, so I was shuffling these cards, and when I was flipping through, there was a card from a different deck, and it literally says hard to get. I honestly, in this reading, I feel like every sign in synchronicity matters. Okay, so I'm just going to give them all to you. It says, you are missing opportunities by playing too hard to get. Give someone a chance. Take it as it resonates. You know, I can see a million ways where that plugs into this reading, but just, I'm not going to get stuck on it. Take it as it resonates, okay? Someone is coming in. You're going to be surprised. Yeah, look at that. I literally just said the synchronicities or whatever, or whatever I just said about that card being in the deck, that I feel like we cannot leave any stone unturned in this reading. And like, this is where your intuition can be so valuable, because if there's a picture here, or there's something like somebody worked at K Jeweler, or you rode a merry-go-round with this person, or sunflowers for you have a particular meaning, or, you know, whatever, it's like, you know, take it. Oh my gosh, communication even. Guys, I'm telling you, I really feel like someone's going to come forward and say something here. You have karmic battles. This can be a lot of things. I'm actually being guided to read this. Oh gosh, I need glasses. It says, please be patient with my process of growth and change. As I come into my power, I am making sure that everything is in alignment so I can be with you. I'm severing my ties with the karmic situation and completing a cycle. Okay? And then you have the signs card, and it literally says, I've been seeing so many signs and synchronicities that remind me of you. There are signs and synchronicities without question in this reading. I really do feel. We'll see what comes out in the tarot, okay? And then you have a surprise. Get ready to receive something special soon that expresses how I feel about you. We're getting these repeat words very kind of specifically. And then you have best self. I am working really hard to level up for you and meet you as your equal, your mirror. I know we will always grow together, but I want you to be proud of who I am today. And then you have communication. I want to reach out to you. Please be open to receiving communication from me soon. Your response will encourage me greatly. I will be waiting to hear back from you. All right, you guys. We're going to head into the tarot. We've had story time. We've had a lot of signs and synchronicities. This has been a wild reading so far. Let's see what the tarot brings us. I had a dream about these cards last night. I had a dream that I was reading tarot with these cards. I have no idea. I don't remember what the reading was about or anything. I just know I was using these cards. So here we are. Which in and of itself could be a sign. All right, here we go. 7 of Wands with the star. Somebody is ready to fight for their wish fulfillment. Someone is going to fight. They may feel like there is competition. In that song, it says, oh my God, and there's the flipping Queen of Wands that I've been talking about this whole damn time. See? Okay. In that song, it said, they told me that you're moving on or something like that. This person may feel that they're going to lose you if they don't fight for this right now. Like there's a window of opportunity for whatever reason for them to come forward. Or they may feel that there is a lot of competition and that they are in for a battle, but they're going to battle. Because you're their wish fulfillment, because they feel like this is a fated connection. I do feel like they are very attracted to you and they are very drawn to you, but I think that's what it was about maybe in the beginning, or that may be a strong pull for this person from the jump, but they may have really treated it like that's all it was. And then realize no, this was a healing connection. This, you treated them with kindness and with tenderness. And I don't think that they're accustomed to that. They may not have even felt they deserved that. They may not have even really known how to respond to it. 7 of Wands on the bottom of the deck again. Ay. Wow. So this person has really been in, I feel like, some kind of transformative state. They're very determined to overcome their lower vibrational tendencies that messed this up in the first place. Wow. So you have the 6 of Swords coming out with to clarify the 7 of Wands. This is someone who their way of thinking may have prevented them from fighting for this before, or from being brave before, or from... It may have even made them defensive. It may have even made them... like hold out or hold back some of themselves in the connection. And they, with the 6 of Swords here, it feels like they have brought their mind. Remember, it said the best self, that they're aligning with what you deserve or whatever. This person, with the 6, this is all about unity and harmony and alignment. And this is like, I brought my thoughts to a calmer place so that instead of defending, you know, like putting up this barrier, I'm aggressively fighting forward for this. I'm aggressively moving toward this. I mean, you can see that 7 of Wands is aimed directly at the Star card. It's like, I'm coming. I will fight off any competition. I'm coming. And then with the 10 of Wands, the Strength card, and the Knight of Coins, this person is fighting some past burdens. You know, this could also be like responsibilities. They may have put work between you. They may have put other obligations. You do have this karmic battle energy here. This could be, you know, family members, friends. This can be anything, right? But it was standing in the way. It was taking up so much space in their life that they could not open up to something new. If this is a new person that hasn't ever approached you yet, Pisces, this is an energy of, you know, probably past situations that have maybe even prevented this person from dating, or from, they may have had their sights set on you for a long time. I think that song came out the other day. I got my mind set on you. Yeah, I remember reading this in the comments. I just heard it again. But there's something here where it's like they were too burdened. They were overburdened. They had to close out some kind of burdensome cycle in order to be able to free themselves to do this. And I think they were just sort of living in this space with these burdens without really addressing them or without really dealing with them. But with the Strength card and the Knight of Coins, this is where, you know, I am no longer willing to accept that. I'm no longer willing to give that in. I was listening to I've been listening to Carolyn Miss. I love Carolyn Miss. I rotate my people and that I go to for guidance. And I was listening to Carolyn Miss, and she was actually, oh my God, it was fascinating. Oh my God, I love her so friggin' much. Anyway, it's MYSS if you're interested in listening to her as well. She is like absolutely incredible. She actually has an oracle deck called the Archetype or something like that. Anyway, she was talking about being honest, and that the spiritual journey is literally about being honest. And she was actually asked by a Catholic Science News magazine or something if she had any advice for Pope Francis at one point, and she said, tell the truth. That was her advice, because the spiritual path is truth. And I think I've been really touching on that a lot on the channel lately. I've been really getting that in meditation and feeling that in meditation, that as long as we can be honest with ourselves and honest with others. She was like, but tell the truth. And she gave an example of her brother who was an alcoholic. He died. And, you know, people would say to her, he can't help it. He can't help it. He's an addict. And she would say, no, he can help it. He chooses not to. And I know there's a lot of controversy about saying things like that or feeling things like that. But when you listen to the way that she talks about it, she's like, you know, I looked him in the eye and I told him, you're a limitless being. And if you sat with that truth that, you know, you really can do anything. I mean, she didn't say it exactly like that. Okay, please know that I'm paraphrasing her and probably badly, especially because I was listening to it late when I was really tired. You know, we all have that. We're all made of the same stuff. We're all capable of the same stuff. We are all limitless creators. We all can tap into the same thing. And so what she's saying by being truthful is by saying, I can do it. I'm choosing not to. You know, I can overcome this. I can beat addiction. People do beat addiction, okay? And let me tell you, I have no judgment when it comes to addiction. Two of the people closest to me in my entire life died of heroin addiction. So Please do not think that I have any judgment about addiction at all. I have literally seen the peril and the desperation and the heartache of it firsthand, way, way, way too firsthand. But anyway, this is, we all have this choice. This person was not sitting in their truth when they came across you. There were things that they were avoiding. There were things that they were guarding and protecting within themselves that they did not want to sit with, that they were not willing to face the truth about. And they weren't even willing probably to be honest about that. That like, yeah, well, I can deal with this. I'm just choosing not to because it's serving me in some way. And that's what we find when we dig all the way to the bottom of the thing. It's that, yeah, I could change it, but it's serving me to be this way. You know, it's serving me not to. With the Knight of Coins energy for me is like, this is hard as hell. Okay, but I'm trying. I'm putting I'm not trying, I'm doing. I'm putting one foot in front of the other. I'm taking a solid step, no matter how big, no matter how small, in the direction I feel that I must go, that is in my highest and best good. And I'm not judging myself, and I'm not comparing myself, and I'm not anything. I'm just saying to myself, I do not want to be this way anymore. I do not want to have this experience anymore. And therefore, I don't care how small a step it is. I don't care how minuscule a movement it might be. If I take any movement in the right direction, and I don't back down, and I don't give up, and I just keep persevering, I'm going to overcome this. I'm going to beat this. I'm going to get beyond it. And what is coaxing this person along? What is inspiring this energy? Well, we're clarifying the Star card. It's seeing and feeling everything that I've ever wanted, possibly and potentially even slipping through my fingers because I didn't do this sooner. Because I didn't make this decision, and I didn't choose the truth, and I didn't move in a truthful path before now, before the reason showed up. But it's fate, right? It's the Star card. It's part of your destiny. This is an opportunity for this person to have this realization and to make this move and to make this choice and to make this decision, and it feels an awful lot like they are. Seven of Wands on the bottom of the deck. They're fighting for this. This could be you. You know, if you're relating to it, it could be you. Wow. You've got the Eight of Cups coming out in reverse, and you've got the Fool card coming out upright with the Hermit on the bottom of the deck. This person took some time to be by themselves, to really think about what is inside the Hermit's lantern, the star. That's what's inside. You know, I'm really focused on what I want, on, you know, asking myself, if not this, then what? That's what I'm getting. And I've gotten this energy for like a month. It's like, if it's not going to be this person, then who's it going to be? Who's ever going to be better for me than this? You know, this person was made for me. This is my wish fulfillment. This is my destiny. This is my fate. This is my moment. Am I going to be okay just saying, yeah, the Empress came into my life and I watched them walk away and I let them get away? Or am I going to tell the story of how I almost lost the Empress, but I got my act together and it was hard as hell. But I fought my ego and I fought my pride and I fought my fear and I freaking, you know, buckled up my bootstraps and I did it. I went in that direction, and it wasn't easy. It was a slow process. I did the best I could. You have becoming, you know, their best self. You have karmic battles here. You know, this person had more than one thing to like overcome or to fight through in order to be able to show up here. And they're not showing up yet. I mean, I don't know, with the Oracle cards, it sure does feel that way, but we're all on different timelines, okay? But in order just to be able to come and to take that mask off and to be able to express myself honestly and authentically, I had to first find the truth within myself. And that's what I did. That was my first step and my first stop. That is what enabled me to take the leap of faith. The Fool card is not in the Ten of Wands. The Fool card could not take a single step in the right direction carrying all those wands. So this person had to go on a bit of a spiritual journey. And anytime we make up our mind to do something that's hard, and we really are in the energy of we can only just put one foot in front of the other and just kind of hope for the best and persevere and focus and try to just continue on our path, that's a spiritual lesson. That is a spiritual journey. That is rooted in truth. That is rooted in solid freaking effort. And that is also rooted in us discovering things within ourselves that we didn't know we were capable of. Anything worth having is usually very hard to get. And oh my God, I just looked over and saw this card. It says hard to get. If I just flashed it there for you and you're like, okay, what was the significance? Anyway, they're coming back around. Somebody that walked away is coming back around, and they're coming in a different energy. They're not coming in this heavily weighted defensive person. They're coming in someone who is free to fight for this. Someone who is unburdened by masks. Someone who is, focused on, I feel like, the beauty of the true nature of the other person, the truth of the other person. I don't know. Let's see. And the truth within themselves. And see, when we align with our truth, when we really sit with ourselves and we go, it isn't that I can't change it. It's that I don't want to. It's that it's serving this purpose. When we sit with ourselves, freaking all the major arcana in the world here. When we sit with ourselves like that, we align with our soul purpose. We align with everything that is meant for us. When we are living in our truth and our authenticity. When we aren't like, oh, it's okay if it's hard as hell to live your truth and your authenticity until you practice it day in and day out and it becomes your true nature again. You're born in that energy, but we get away from it because we're taught to believe that who we are isn't good enough and who we are isn't right. I think like when I met my husband, one of the things that I definitely found the most attractive about him, I remember specific moments of noticing this about him, was that he was a completely non-self-conscious. Like he just was not self-conscious because he was never trying to be anybody other than who he was. Like he wasn't like, let me impress you with all the names I can drop, even though he worked at the Omaha Country Club and caddied for Warren Buffett. Like he knows people, but he was never that guy. And I mean that he would be like, oh my God, I can't believe you said that. But, but I mean, he was like, he wasn't afraid to just own who he was. He knew who he was. And he was like, you're either going to like me or you're not. And like, I don't really care. Like, and it was like so incredibly attractive to me that he really was that secure and like not self-conscious. And I feel this energy with this person where they're coming to that place where they're sitting in their truth, they're facing their truth, they're being very honest with themselves, and they're kind of, we have these moments and they are kind of like spiritual awakenings, right? Where, we realize anybody that needs me to put on a show or anybody that needs me to like name drop or needs me to, be something other than what I am or have a super impressive job title or, like education or, I don't know. I have no idea, but whatever we're insecure about, it's like, I don't need them in my life. I'm fine. Or people that are trying to play games or manipulate you, or it's like, okay, I see what you're doing and you go right ahead over there. I'm going to be over here, and our paths are not going to cross, because I don't F with that. And there's just this energy where I feel like things are coming together, for this person as they're aligning and healing within themselves and connecting to their highest and best self. They're going through a huge transformative process where they're becoming okay with who they are exactly the way they are. And, it's hard, and it's hard to really let go of the way we have covered our insecurities. We suffer, right? Because when we look back on our life and we see the places where our insecurities kind of got the best of us and we blurted something out, or we felt the need to impress someone, or we were friends with someone that we could see was, manipulative or this or that, because we told ourselves, well, if I see it, then I won't fall prey to it. But then we fell prey to it anyway. Or do you know what I'm saying? There's this energy of suffering and almost weeping for all the moments that I wasn't in alignment with myself, where I let an attachment to, to being impressive, or I let an attachment to kind of like a false sense of myself, or even lying to myself in order to kind of be okay, or to feel comfortable, or to feel right in the moment with whatever was happening. It took me out of my polarity. It took me out of my alignment with myself. And you'll feel it when it happens, and especially when you practice. And, especially like in the world we live in, and in the really polarized politics and all these things, and just trying to keep up with the news and trying to pay attention to stuff, it happens to me. And, it will pull you out of your alignment with yourself. And the thing is, the greatest contribution you can make to your cause, I mean, I really believe this myself, is by being the change. Like, literally, just be the change. Be the best person you can be. Contribute that to the collective consciousness. Live the example. Be love. Carolyn Miss was talking about how, as people, we're chasing two things. We're chasing creation and we're chasing survival. And, she was actually talking about Oppenheimer or whatever, the guy that invented like nuclear weapons or whatever. I didn't see the movie. I don't do things like that very well, but she was talking about, if you look at like Downton Abbey, where, and like the way people were, like humanity was in a much better place. And then with the invention of nuclear warfare, all of a sudden it really shook humanity to its core, because we were suddenly really focused on chasing survival. We suddenly felt like our survival was threatened. It wasn't old age that was necessarily going to get us, but like now there was this nuclear threat, and it changed everything, and it kind of set us on this course. And I always think it's so interesting when people pinpoint certain times and spots in history where it's like something that feels really unrelated really had this kind of massive effect, earth-shattering effect on things. I find it fascinating how that affects humanity and the psyche and the collective consciousness. But why chase survival? Like, what is the point in that? Like, yes, I would like to live. I really think I was born to be a grandma. Like, I would love to have grandkids, you know what I mean? And I freaking love my family, and I want to be here for them for as long as I possibly can. But if I spend my life chasing survival, Like, what in the world? I'm cool chasing creation, but chasing survival, I don't think so. I just don't know. Now that my mindful awareness has been brought to it, I'm gonna sit with it for a while and see where I go with that. But like, I don't know. I just don't want to be that person. I want to chase love. I want to be love. I want to offer love to the world, to the people around me. And if I die tomorrow, I just want the love will go on. Love is energy. It will go, well beyond the bounds of this surly earth that we're on. And so, yeah, that's what I want my legacy to be. Like, that's what I want to leave. So it feels very much like this person is having kind of this interpersonal kind of crisis where they're sort of waking up and realizing like, I kind of had it all wrong. And there is a certain suffering in that. Thinking, like looking back on the you that you were, thinking that you had it all right, realizing that you had it all wrong. Realizing that most of your suffering can be traced back to yourself, and that maybe if you had sat with your truth and aligned with your truth and only worried about you aligning with your own truth and not worried about what other people thought or what was happening in the world or what the politics were that you cannot control, that if you just stayed your own pillar of consciousness and were authentic with yourself and were proud of yourself and were secure in yourself, some of the suffering in your life would never have occurred, would never have happened. And that requires us to heal, it requires us to heal. And I mean, I've had to sit with myself and I've had to heal these things within myself for sure. But I see that's what's happening with this person. And that's a really powerful time in your life. That really sets you up for kind of like the next phase, where, you're not willing to bend, you're not willing to compromise. Look at that temperance energy. That is just, it says it all right there. Everything in balance, everything in moderation, and remembering the most important thing is the truth and is your authenticity and is really standing in it and being a real pillar of consciousness, and everything else will fall into place around you. You just have to hold tight and hold strong with that, with your highest and best self, listening to your intuition, being guided by your intuition. Anyway, I don't know where this reading came from or where it is going, but here's what I see. There's a huge transformation that's happening on a pretty deep level within someone, where they are healing a lot of past hurt, including the hurt that comes from kind of being ashamed of our own behavior, or regretting our own behavior, regretting that we didn't love ourselves enough in a moment. And maybe, with this Three of Swords, there is, the energy of forgiving ourselves. With that white rose of death, that is peace, that is innocence, returning to innocence by forgiving ourselves. When you're baptized, it's, Jesus or whatever, forgiving your sins. Forgive me if I say things wrong here, but I'm not really coherent. So, well, I am, but like kind of. So it's allowing yourself, you with you, to return to a space of innocence, to a space where, you have forgiven yourself and you love yourself, and you will never let anybody talk you out of your grounded center, you with you, or being authentic to yourself. You will not ever let that happen again, to the best of your ability. Like I said, it's incredibly difficult to stay aligned with that. I've tried it for years, and it's very, 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 very difficult. I'm still working on it, guys. Man, 2 death cards, for God's sake. Yeah, this person was stuck and stagnant. They were not really willing to see it. They were, the 2 of Swords is a completely personal card. It is actually a card of Libra, but it's, we call it indecision, we call it stagnancy, but it's one where, you know, our heart and our mind, our eyes are not open. We don't want to see, we don't want to feel. And that is not the truth. You know, that is not sitting in truth. That is not sitting in authenticity. That is avoidant behavior, really. And so, you know, it prevents us, when we know ourselves and we know our truth and we are in our authenticity, decisions are actually not very difficult. They're pretty obvious because there's one choice always that aligns with you very easily. And, you know, this energy of the Two of Swords, it's kind of, you know, she has uncrossed the swords, but she still has the blindfold on. And so it's like this last and final step to empowerment is seeing yourself, seeing the truth, seeing the reflection, seeing, you know, almost kind of like how you were in your own way, that this was all you, you know, that it wasn't that you were not empowered to make the decision or that there was no choice. It wasn't that, you know, it was none of those things. It was that you refused to open your heart and your eyes to what was right in front of you. With the Magician, it's like, I'm taking it back. I'm empowering myself. I'm alchemizing this energy. I'm not going to allow myself to be stuck. I'm not going to allow myself to kind of get in my own way. I will always be willing to see my truth. I will always ask myself, what is my truth? Man, heavy emphasis on the Fool card energy. Wow, we have the Emperor, the King of Cups, the Two of Swords, and the Fool card, clarifying that Two of Swords. Wow, that is pretty remarkable. Oh man, this person is shattering fear and illusion. This person is healing on a very deep level. Whoa. This is like heavy energy. Let me clarify this tower real quick for you, Pisces. But you've got the Emperor, which is, you know, obviously it's like divine masculine energy. This is, and the Emperor, whoa, my God. Oh my God. Wow. Like, whoa. A lot of twos in this reading today. Mainly Two of Swords, but man, okay. Sorry guys, my head cold is just like going nuts right here. But with the Emperor and the Two of Swords here, the Emperor is in alignment with their truth, and they're so in alignment with their truth that decisions are easy, and the decisions that they make are always in the highest and best good of all, because they're based on alignment and they're based on someone's sole purpose, and that these are this person's decisions because they're meant to be, because they're in the highest and best good here. And with the King of Cups, this is someone who has learned how to bring their emotions into like regulation, to where they're not reacting. They're not, you know, when you have the Fool and the King of Cups right here next to each other, there's this bit of an energy of like, when we allow our emotions to reign over us, we usually look like a fool. You know, we get angry, we do stupid and foolish things, you know, we get in fights, we, you know, make harsh decisions, we don't think things through, we just are sort of reckless. And because emotional energy is so profound and powerful, that, you know, it can really motivate us to be an idiot, you know. But once we get that energy under control, to where we can process it, to where we can feel the emotion and we can take it for the message that it is, we can allow it to inform us and to help shape us and to help guide us without kind of falling prey to it, without losing ourselves to the energy. Again, if you struggle with this, Mooji, Mooji, is a really great resource, because he really shows you, it's very easy to identify yourself as the observer within through his meditations. Like, he is truly gifted at taking you there to where you see that that's exactly, we all are. At our very core, we are the observer. We are not the emotion. We're not at the whim of it unless we live in that space of being at the whim of it. And it's like that chasing survival energy. If you're chasing survival, you're not going to be willing to love. You're not going to be willing to take risks. You're not going to be, because you're chasing survival. Survival is your priority. Survival is the finish line. Survival is what is making your decisions for you. And so you're in fight or flight, right? Because that's how you survive. So we want to calm our central nervous system through breath. That is the fastest, easiest way to do it. My yoga teacher always says, just this moment, just this breath. And I think that when I start to feel this kind of energy of like, oh, I might be losing a little bit of my control here, I'm like, just this moment, just this breath, and I just focus on my breathing. But yeah, this is the weirdest reading. Oh my gosh. But anyway, what I'm trying to tell you is just, the energy that I'm conveying here is someone that I feel like they are going through a lot, and they are really reviewing their life. And I think they are really reviewing that time where they felt like a fool for having deep feelings. And this could be that they had deep feelings that were unrequited. This could be that they had deep feelings and they took a leap of faith and it didn't go their way, or they took a risk and it didn't. And that's what tossed them into this Two of Swords energy where they could not face their truth. Maybe their ego or pride was hurt. Maybe, they felt rejected. Maybe they felt, taken advantage of or neglected or abused or whatever, that, which is all horrible things. But we can let that define us. And as Carolyn Miss says, be an anchor in our lives. Or we can say, God, help me through this, or whoever, the universe, help me through this. I do not want this to be an anchor in my life. I do not want to carry this burden for the rest of my life. I do not want something in my life, in my energy, that is going to stand as a barrier between me and my highest and best self, me and my highest and best life, me and love. And, with the Emperor here, it feels like that's the decision this person is making. They're like, things may not have always worked out. I may have gotten in this energy. I forgive myself for being in this energy. I forgive myself for the decisions I made while I was in this energy. The only thing I can do is free myself from this energy and take the leap of faith, You have the Tower here and the Seven of Cups, and the Tower is being clarified by the Page of Pentacles in reverse with the Ace of Swords upright with that freaking Two of Swords. And this is someone where instead of saying, what is this trying to teach me? Where is the spiritual lesson here? This person let it shut them down. It's something that happened to them that played to their fear and their illusions, and that is sort of the root of their fear and illusion, maybe in all relationships ever after. And instead of just learning the spiritual lesson, taking the gift and moving on, this person shut down. And they gave their power away to it. And with the Ace of Swords here, they're seeing that very clearly with the Tower and the Ace of Swords. This is extreme clarity. I actually think that you got another combination of the Tower and the Ace of Swords yesterday or the day before or some recent time, because I'm just seeing that. With the Four of Wands on the bottom of the deck, this is like, where what we've manifested has come into reality. And it's like, I'm sitting here looking at my wish fulfillment. We saw the Seven of Wands to the Star. And I can't even act on it because I shut myself down and I let that sort of dictate my behavior. And now I'm seeing it. And with the Magician, what we're clarifying with all of those cards is the Magician, which is where I'm taking my power back. I'm empowering myself. I'm realizing that instead of thinking that I am ill-equipped and I need to shut down because I'm not capable of dealing with, I'm chasing survival and I'm not capable of dealing with another broken heart or any more suffering, I'm going to finally heal. I'm going to accept and receive that gift And I'm going to hope that, you know, I have this chance with the Four of Wands to celebrate, to come together, to make this official. Again, this Four of Wands right here is giving me the vibe that this person has very serious intentions. You do have 3 4s coming out here at the end. So this is definitely a heavy focus on what is this going to be built upon. And when the 4s that you have are the 4 of Swords, which is healing and kind of being the observer, right? It's like a meditative energy. The 4 of Wands, calling in what we want from the ethers into reality, and the Emperor, taking our own empowerment, standing in our truth, aligning with our truth, and therefore coming into alignment with everything that is meant for us. That's a very powerful energy. That's a powerful foundation for what's about to happen. And it feels like what's about to happen is some kind of conversation. This person finally getting the courage to express themselves. What a roundabout way to get there, but we're here, Pisces. I'm parking the car right here. All right, here we go. We are going to dive in with some moon messages. All right, you guys. I am choosing you. I am sorry I triggered you. I want your attention. This is if you're dealing with a water sign. I don't know if I said that. No one else matters now, and resentment. If you're dealing with a fire sign, I thought about reaching out, but I don't know what to say. Your words speak to me like no others can. I won't let you go. Excited. Passion. Okay. If you're dealing with an earth sign, you are the one. I am sending you telepathic messages. I want a future with you, and I am making plans. If you're dealing with an air sign, I remember everything you said. Anxious. I can't stop thinking of you. I want to talk to you. And blocking. Okay, guys, this is what this crazy reading is what I have for you today. I hope it helps. I hope it brought you some peace and clarity. And, gosh, until next time, guys, I am sending you off with all my very best. Always, always, always. All right, please put a comment if this reading resonates. I would deeply appreciate it. Until next time, all my best. Bye-bye.